Test for the soundness of user stories. And user stories should be all these 6 things. And we can decide in large part whether a story is ready to be engaged if it fulfills these 6 requirements. And going into all of these is beyond the scope of this talk, but I'm going to talk about 2 of them. And the 2 that I'm going to talk about are estimable or estimatable and small. User stories must be estimatable or estimable, and they must be small. And now we'll talk about why that is. If you can't estimate it, you can't build it. Plain and simple. If you can't understand something enough to know approximately how long it will take to make it real, then you don't truly understand it. And estimates are developed iteratively, not definitive. We don't have one issue. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Estimates are, we develop them iteratively. We don't sit down and then say, this is the estimate. We work on estimates that are developed as the information about them develop. As we learn more about a story, we refine it, and we refine it, and we refine it. And the reason we do that is because we want to make these decisions at the last responsible moment. And we accept that we are never going to know everything that we need to know about a story. Also, once we start learning about a story until we stop learning about a story, context and situations change. Sometimes customer relationships change. Sometimes team structures change. That's why we say estimates are never permanent. The only time that they're absolutely permanent is after the story is done. After the story is done, we never update that estimate. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting to look back and see how well teams estimates. But I will say this, estimates are not intended to be perfect. And over time, the error in estimation washes out. And we have found this to be true over and over again. And the accuracy of estimation should never be a performance metric. And I say this most urgently. I just had a case of this with a colleague of mine. And he said that he had heard from, we're in the Agile world, the coaching world is kind of smallish. And I heard about this company that was going to be evaluating for like HR purposes based on accuracy of estimation is a proficiency tick for your like annual review. And that was very, very upsetting to this person, and I don't blame them. The accuracy of estimation should never be a performance metric. If you're bad at estimation, the only thing you can do is get better. You can't punish people for not estimating well. It's not easy to do. We call that estimation angst. And it's actually a very common pattern in teams that are not quite mature. When we have Agile teams that are really, really mature, that are really high performing, they don't need to estimate because they already know to break down work small enough to where everything is a one-point story, and we don't have to worry about estimating. And I'm not going to go into a tangent about the no estimates movement, but it's something that I would encourage you to investigate if that's something that interests you. One of the reasons that it's a great movement is to avoid this anti-pattern of estimation angst. It's rooted in what we fear of failure, fear of being wrong, fear of being perceived as technically weak. Sometimes we are culturally pushed to achieve more than is actually realistic. Also, we always have concerns about unpredictability. We're hesitant to give estimation because we don't understand something completely. And it can actually go all the way through to kind of severe issues, severe toxicity, and become more about anxiety about maybe losing your job or your position because of estimation. We should never be putting ourselves in that position. I can tell you this, that breaking your work down small makes things easier to estimate. Smaller estimates are less intimidating and less prone to error. They cause fewer problems going through the system. Big things cause big problems. Small things.